Hello, everyone. Welcome or welcome back to Dirty Martini. I hope you're doing well and I hope you're having an amazing day. I am so excited for today's episode because I really need it because I just need to yap and I'm so excited to be yapping with you. For the video listeners, video watchers, ignore my nails, okay? She says after putting her nails on the pedestal. Maybe if I didn't point them out, you wouldn't even notice them. And if my mom is actually watching this instead of listening to it, ignore my nails, okay? Like, I just I work where I have to wash dishes all the time, and my nail polish lasts a whole 10 minutes. So can we just look past it and just enjoy each other's presence? Guys, hello. I Before I dive into what I wanted to talk about today, I just want to share something quite interesting that happened to me. So I went for a run last week, and almost all of my runs I finish at Little because I'm like, oh, I just want to get a sweet little treat for after my run, and that like most of the time is just a banana because like I'm trying to play pretend to be healthy and like yada yada. So I go to Little, I do my shopping, and the thing is when I go running, I don't get any bags or anything with me. I just take my phone. That's it. I don't even bring water. So I ended up buying way more stuff than I anticipated. So my hands were full like this. I am carrying as if I'm carrying a crate, but without the crate, which is not something I'm not necessarily used to, because women's clothes don't really have pockets because we are like women's comfort is an afterthought. So I'm carrying everything and I'm talking on the phone with my mom, and I just see this couple stopping by the container, like the bin, and going through a crate of books. So, what I end up doing is I end up pretending like I need to take a seat at the bench next to the container, and I sit there and I wait for them to fish out whatever it is that they wanted to fish out. And the thing is, I know, leave your germophobia for a side, to the side for a second. I also don't love germs. Everything I took, I disinfected, don't worry. But so I ended up getting into the crate after them. And the thing is, I am choosing to believe that the diva was that threw away the books actually wanted to donate them and give them a second chance at life, but was moving out and didn't have the time to because she was running like low on time. Otherwise she would have donated them. That's what I choose to believe, not that she just wanted to get rid of her books. So I go into the crate and I end up finding gold. And I'm telling you, gold. Because one woman's trash is another woman's treasure. And I know you may be thinking, you went trash diving? No, bestie. It was a crate next to the trash. I did not touch the bin. But I want to show you what I ended up getting. And I ended up being like greedy, but greed that they talk about in the Bible. But I just could not pass on this opportunity because all of those are books that I was literally looking into buying. And when I show them to you, I just want you to know I love young adult. I love reading young adult fiction. But the thing is, I feel a little bit weird reading young adults nowadays because I'm like, well, I'm no longer 17 and it feels weird to read about 17-year-old stories and their mindset and just like, like a 17-year-old kissing their boyfriend. That feels odd to me because I'm not a predator. And this is how I know I'm not a predator. And this is how I know I'm not a pedophile and like many other reasons. But it's like, well, if I read the story and like currently I'm reading the Shatter Me series, and when spoiler alert, when Juliet and Warner kiss, I'm like, those are children. Those are children. I should not have insights into children kissing because ill. That is ill. So not that like, you know what? You know what I mean. What I'm trying to say is that I'm not a predator. So those are books I've been looking into buying, but I was never like really was like, oh, I really want to spend my money on these books when I could be spending them on like books I've never read before, like stories I'm not familiar with. Um, Also because of this like a little bit growing out of my young adult fiction era, which has been my entire life's era. But I just love nowadays reading books that are characters that are my age. And when I was younger and the characters were 30, I was like, you're old and decrepit, what is going on? And now when I read that the characters are like in their late 20s, like mid 30s, I'm like, okay, that's cool, that's cool, that's fine. And we call that maturity. And we love that. We love that. So the books that I got, I ended up getting them. So they were in a crate and in a recyclable bag, like one of those big ass bags that are like this much. So I ended up getting the whole bag because I could not carry them alongside my groceries that I ended up buying after literally just not having anything because I just finished a run. So what I ended up getting for the audio listeners, don't worry, I will let you know what I'm. Wait, let me. I don't know what's the correct order. Wait, what is? So we have the Twilight series, the whole series, all four books. Mind you, I have never read Twilight. I know, I know, that is crazy. I remember watching the movies. I don't remember anything from the movies apart from the fact that that's the skin of a killer Bella and that there were some weird fight scenes. And I vaguely remember being Team Jacob at some point. I don't remember what that means. I remember there was something weird about imprinting, and I remember being very, very scared when what's her name? Isabella. Isabella gives birth to her daughter and it breaks her spine and sucks out the life from her, and she ends up being just skin and bones, and like, yeah, she gets so pale and every single vein of her body is visible. This is what I remember from Twilight. I don't remember anything about the plot. I don't remember what's the world structure like. I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything. But now I will get the chance to experience it. And I feel like this is one of the type of books and series that I wish I would have read when I was younger. But it is what it is. So we have the original Twilight book. I'm going to say them like in whatever order I grabbed them. She says after literally looking into seeing if that's the correct order. So we have Twilight, we have New Moon, we have Eclipse, and then finally we have Breaking Dawn. And I just want to say that I'm incredibly excited and um, overwhelmed by the fact, in a good way, that this is the whole series. I managed to get all the books from the series for free. Do you know how much this would have cost me? I don't even want to tell you how much this would have cost me because, like, it would have been crazy. Then we have, again, keep in mind, I was obsessed with young adult. So we have To All the Boys I've Loved Before and P.S. I Still Love You. This is not the whole series. I have read these books when I was younger. I really remember liking them. I feel like now, after my taste of literature developing a little bit, I will not enjoy them as much, but it's still something, you know? It's still something. And I remember being obsessed with the movies when they first came out, but that was like just 2016 was something else. Life was so much better. Actually, I was very depressed, but like life was better, you know? Like I was about to say Trump wasn't in power, but that would just simply not be true. Um I wonder why life went downhill after 2016. I'm not saying correlation implies causation, but like in this example, it very well does. Then we have from the same author, which is Jenny Han. We have, wait, what is it? The summer I turned pretty. We have It's not summer without you, and we'll always have summer, which is the entire trilogy. And this is such an interesting material that the pages are made out of. They're not very like your standard thing. I wonder if this is just recycled paper. I doubt it, but like, yeah, I'm very excited because I watched the series. I binged watched the series a few months ago. It was so alright. It wasn't anything revolutionary. I know I would have eaten it up when I was younger. Um, and I'm excited. Like, I know some of you maybe or like, oh, but if you've already watched the movies or like the series or whatever, why are you interested in going into the book? Because I feel like that's going to be just a nice thing to read to provide more context to the story, which because obviously when you make a movie or a series out of a body of literature, you miss a lot of stuff. You're unable to capture every single detail. And I feel like experiencing the same art form in different media is how you get the whole experience. So I am excited for this. I'm excited that this diva grew up and grew out of her young adult phase. It's interesting to see whether I will still enjoy those, even though I already have like a bit of doubts of my young adult appreciation. But I'm very excited. And I ended up just basically getting one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine books for free, and they're in pristine condition. So girly, if you're watching this, I just hit the microphone. I apologize to all of you who are wearing headphones. um if you're watching this, thank you, thank you so much. I just made myself $150, so I'm very excited about that. But first I need to finish my Shatter Me series. Then my friend gifted me Blue Sisters. Then I ended up buying like 7 more books. My dream is for one day when I have my own home is to have a library. I want like a room with bookshelves from ceiling to what's the word? What's the word? Floor. I want everything like Beauty and the Beast style. And I that's my dream. And from what I know, for it to be regarded a library, you need to have 1,000 books, which I am very far from. But we are 9 books closer to 1,000 than we were last week. So I think that's really, really exciting. Um, and I just know that when I move out of this house in which I currently reside, it's going to be tough with the books. It's really, really going to be tough, and I'll have to probably get a separate suitcase for them because you will not catch me throw away a book. You will just simply not catch me do that. Um, there is this one book that I am trying to get rid of, but like nobody wants it, and I'll tell you why nobody wants it. And let me just say, um, I started buying secondhand books when I moved here because books here are so fucking expensive, and I don't have a library card, and back home I just go to the library. And I really I was fresh out of high school. I still spoke a pretty good amount of German, and I really wanted to upkeep the level and even improve it by reading German literature. So I ended up going to a secondhand store to buy one of the 3 German books available, and the only fiction one was this one book which I refused to read. And the reason I refused to read it is because and mind you, I literally bought it without reading the synopsis. Um, it's about like a Palestinian woman falling in love with an Israeli man, or like the other way around, like an Israeli woman falling in love with a Palestinian man. And I'm like, I refuse to read this. I refuse to read this. So if someone wants this German book, do let me know. You can have it for free. Please get it out of my hands because I am not going to read this. Um, And if you've watched any of the episodes, you might understand why I don't want to read it. But I am excited about the fact that I've been reading way more this year than last year. I had this thing of, well, I mean, like, amount wise, I still pretty much read the same. It's just nowadays, I just don't focus solely on academic literature. Because up until last year, which is like 4 years of university, I read only literature and academic articles and stuff and books and textbooks which pertained to university and which pertained to my specific degree. And while that's cool, that's interesting, that's what I pay money for, um it kind of took away the joy from reading, because reading was not no longer something I craved to do, something I wanted to do. It was something I had to do. And it's always been something I've had to do for a school. Don't get me wrong. It's just like the extent of literature which you have to read at a university level is way different from the level of literature and the amount of literature that you have to read in order to prepare for your high school class. Um, so, because I was solely reading academic literature, I was reading books, like fiction books. I love reading fiction books. Nonfiction books are not necessarily my favorite. Um, so, I was only reading literature by choice rather than by requirement during the breaks, during the Christmas break or during the summer break or whatever. And I kind of lost the habit of reading. And that's something that really pained me, because I've always perceived myself as a bookworm and I've always loved reading. And I have tried to write books. I've reached 100 pages and then I've stopped for whatever reason. Um, I love books. Books are one of the greatest things, if not the greatest thing that humanity has ever invented. And not being engaging with them as much as I normally would or as much as I would like really was painful for me. And this year, because I really put emphasis on balance in life, and what I mean by that is my life in at university up until this year was comprised solely of university and work. I never had really any time for hobbies. I never, ever, ever had time for rest. And there were times when, for months on end, I would not have a single day off from university or work or both in the same day. And this year, I really put emphasis on making my lifestyle a little bit more balanced and a little bit more diverse and a little bit more than my contracted 9 to 5 and 5 to 2. Um, which is why I think I've been enjoying the masters most out of any of the university years that I've had here, because this time around I actually had the time to just rest for, even if it's just for an afternoon, and then get back to studying and be refreshed and just take my mind off of stuff instead of completely be a burnout after burnout after burnout after burnout. So mm, this really made me enjoy learning way better, made reading academic literature way more engaging and interesting, and not something I solely had to do, but something I actually really wanted to do, because the topics themselves are not that much different from the pre-master, for example. But during the pre-master, that was one of the hardest years of my university years. So, and the reason I feel so much more decompressed despite being stressed is because I regained the habit, rebuilt the habit of reading. And I read every single day. even if it's 2 pages, even if it's a page, and then I fall asleep, because I love reading in the evening in my bed. This is how I've always read, always before I go to bed. And then I'm always like, just one more chapter, one more chapter, one more chapter. And then it's the morning. This is just how I spent my teenage years. But now, if I'm tired, which is something that me who always seeks conclusion, um, never would be able to handle. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. Just so many people entered my house right now, all of a sudden, and it's like, it's planned. Don't worry, no one is like invading my house. There's just like so many people walked in, and I was like, what is going on? And then I remembered. So what was I saying? Um, yeah, and basically me early, like younger me, who always sought conclusion, would hate the way I read right now, because sometimes I even stop mid chapter. I'm just like, okay, and I finished the sentence and I'm off to bed, which is a crazy way to read. It's so unfinished, and but it's still reading. And I feel like it's better to read 5 sentences than not. Um, and just postpone and wait for the perfect moment to read, and that perfect moment never to come, because like during Christmas, I have just a few weeks, like 2 weeks of being home, and I want to see everyone, and I don't really have the time to read, because I just want to spend every single minute I'm awake with someone, period. Um so now, having made the habit, and it honestly doesn't take, because I'm always like, oh, but reading takes so much time. It doesn't have to. It literally does not have to, because it can take 10 minutes, 20, 30, an hour and a half, two, three, four, however much time you can allocate to it. It doesn't have to be a prolonged reading session. And think about it, you can spend 10 minutes reading, or you can spend 10 minutes scrolling on Instagram or any other social media, which I know you already do. So you might as well just read. And this is actually how I keep myself going on my runs, because like sometimes I go for a run and I'm like, "Ugh, do I really want to continue? Like, I could go more in terms of like, I'm not exhausted. I could go another 10 minutes, but I'm lazy. But then I think, well, you could spend 10 minutes running, or you can spend 10 minutes on your phone. So if you spend 10 minutes running, you're taking away from the time you have available to scroll on your phone, which has really, first of all, made me be able to prolong like like better my endurance when it comes to running. But it also has just made me realize that it's a lot, not all, but a lot of it comes down to priorities. Because if I have the time to prioritize social media, I have the time to prioritize reading a book, or practicing a hobby, learning the guitar, and for playing the guitar for months, and just now still solely be able to play fine line. So a lot of it is a choice, not all of it, but to the extent to which you have a choice of whether to read or not, it's up to you to make the choice that you do. And this is a choice I am very consciously taking, and I'm really happy I'm doing. And now, honestly, it feels weird to go to bed without reading at least a few pages, a few chapters. Because, like, the series I'm reading, which I mentioned multiple times, is the Shatter Me series. It has very short chapters, which are perfect for someone who's reading just before I go to bed, and I'm exhausted, and I'm just like, I'll just read like 3 pages and I'll go. And 3 pages is a whole chapter, and it's just perfect. Um, so I wish I had discovered this and had not let go of that reading habit when I first moved here. But I guess we live and we learn. Anyways, let me see, what is it that, yes, guys, yes, we're talking about this today. I don't know if we'll get the chance to cover all of this, because like I told you, there's a lot of people in my house right now, and I promise I will join them. So I feel like let's just get straight into it. Guys, can my friend's siblings stop graduating from high school? Because that makes me feel so incredibly ancient. What do you mean? My friends' 7-year-old siblings are all graduating this year and are off to university or off to find jobs. It is so incredibly weird. It makes me feel so incredibly old because, in my mind, so I was born in 2002, and I know that there's people who are listening to this who are like, oh, Jesus Christ, you're a baby. And I know, I know how you perceive it like this, because I myself, if someone is born after 2002, even if it's just 2003, they're immediately an infant. And it's so crazy to think that, wait, people born in 2008 are graduating from university this year. Not university, high school this year. People who were born in 2008 are supposed to be 80 years old right now. 8, not 18. Uh, did I do, is my math correct? My math is, yeah, 8 plus 18. Yeah, 26. It's so weird and I don't love it. I really don't love it because it's reminding me of the passage of time, and we all know I struggle with this, and it's just like all of my friends' siblings are graduating, and I wish them nadubag chas. I wish them a lot of luck with the next stage of life, and I wish them like everything they wish for, or like everything that has to happen to happen. Uh, but it's so incredibly odd. And that's how you know you're the new adults. And actually, the first time I realized we, and by we, I mean like my generation, people born 2002, people born in 1999 to 2004 are the new adults. You know how I realized this? Because of Connor Story and Hudson Williams. Now, let me elaborate on this. This is my butterfly effect. Connor Story and Hudson Williams. The reason I realized, thanks to them, that I'm an adult and that sent me into a spiral is because those two are the it girls at the moment. And they are people's celebrity crushes, and they're being idolized and put on pedestals, and there's fandoms created around them, which is something I used to partake in when I was a teenager, which is something I used to partake in when I was 12. And Connor's story and Hudson Williams, and I'm not saying that they would ever look in my direction, it's just like they're in the age appropriate dating pool for me. Those people were like 2 years older than me, or like one I think is born in 2001. And that makes them, technically speaking, age appropriate for me. And celebrity crushes that I have never been age appropriate, because Captain Jack Sparrow was not appropriate for 7-year-old me. And that's how I know we are the new adults, because also Tate McRae, Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, Somber, like the Chaperone, those people are within a few years of me, most of them younger from me. Um, and to me, that's outrageous. And it's crazy that I'm an adult. I'm an adult, and I know that technically I have been an adult for quite some time. And I try to remind that to myself so that I don't feel an existential crisis, because especially now with graduating from university and entering a new stage of my life, um, it does feel like I'm entering adulthood. But when I really think about it, I have been practicing adulthood for years on end now. I have been living by myself. I mean, yes, I live with housemates, but like, I don't live with my parents. I don't live with my family. My family doesn't send me money. I am fully financially independent. I work, I study, I do everything by myself. Every single need I have is satiated by me. And that means I'm a self sustaining adult individual. And even on paper, I am 24. I am the age that my mom was when she was pregnant. And I'm not saying I'm pregnant. No, Jesus Christ, no, don't you even think about this. Because, like, timing could not be worse. But thankfully, I come from a country where women's rights to bodily autonomy are respected. And if something were to happen, I would have the choice of what I want to do with my body and my life, which unfortunately is not a given, but a privilege nowadays. Um, but we are the new adults. And do you know what's something else that reminds me? Wait, I shouldn't be sitting like this. You know what? Who gives a shit? I am in the comfort of my own house. And if I want to men's spread, I am going to men's spread. Okay, she said after literally stopping herself from men's spreading. Um, you know what's something else that's making me realize that we're the new adults? Are you guys watching The Perfect Match? How do I explain The Perfect Match to those of you who are not watching The Perfect Match? The Perfect Match is the Avengers of dating reality TV shows. It is basically people from different dating shows, well, now apparently not only dating shows, who are gathered, like the bombshells of the season of whatever show, are gathered in a house and they are supposed to find their perfect match. And it's a show on Netflix and it's now on its fourth season or whatever. And I eat it up every single time. I love trashy reality TV. But before I get into my love for trashy reality TV, let me explain why I'm bringing this up. Growing up, I was watching reality TV. I was watching Big Brother. I was watching what other reality TV shows were available in Bulgaria? Not Big Brother and VIP Brother. So not that many. And then like it stopped and whatever. Growing up, reality TV shows was always something that adults participated in, like people in their 30s or whatever. And now, watching the new season of The Perfect Match and seeing that some of the participants are again dating age appropriate for me, and some of the participants are my age, and there's participants who are younger than me, makes me realize that we are the new adults. And that is absolutely terrifying. It's a terrifying concept to think about because, like, what do you mean this person on this dating show that I'm watching and like I'm just watching for shits and giggles because it's like, oh, just people older than me dating are people my age dating. I could technically go and participate on a dating show, and that would be considered appropriate. I wouldn't do that. And now let me get into why I wouldn't do that, combining it with my love for trash reality TV. So I, which I know, I know it may come as a surprise that I love watching trash reality TV, considering that I always come here like very high and mighty to be like, did you guys watch this new movie in the cinema and let me explore all the intricacies and the details of how it's such a high form of art and yada, 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 yada. Yeah, But God forbid a woman is a versatile person. God forbid a woman has versatile interests. And yes, I know you may be thinking, oh, but you literally studied media studies. And you know how those narratives are constructed and that they're not real and that this is just so detrimental to your brain and your development. I know, but it's such a guilty pleasure. It's such a guilty pleasure. And I hate how much I love watching reality TV. I love watching Too Hot to Handle. The Perfect Match is my favorite. The Perfect Match is my favorite. Too Hot to Handle Germany is a perfect way to practice my German, though indeed I am practicing a very particular subset of the German language. Um, but basically, I love watching reality TV because it's entertaining. And as rude as it sounds, a lot of the times it makes me feel good about myself. And I know that's very rude to say. But keep in mind that when I say this, I also approach this knowing that everything on reality TV is cut up and shot and edited in a way to create a narrative. Because if you put random people who've never met each other in a house and they're there for 24 hours, 7 days a week for multiple weeks, I think 2 weeks, not a lot is going to happen. Like they're not, and like it's in the middle of summer in Mexico and everyone's sweating their ass off. I promise you, 98% of the conversations that happen on during those 2 weeks are non-substantial and not do not make the show and are not show worthy because they're just boring as fuck because it's just people and people like we're amazing creatures, but like in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day conversations, we can be quite boring. So I very much know that in order to create something for ratings, in order to have a show, you need to stir up some drama. You need to make some edits to the final cut so that it's intriguing. You need to tweak the sentences a little bit. You need to create tropes. You need to create a plot, even if there is no plot. So I know that certain people's presence is tweaked beyond comprehension to that person so that they can fit a certain trope, so that they can create a certain narrative. This is just how storytelling works. And it's very sad that sometimes it is at the expense at the reputation at the expense of the reputation, at the expense of the well-being of a person who did not do those stuff, but the show needed a plot. So I very much know that what I see on reality TV is not real, which I know is quite contradictory to the very name of the genre, but it is what it is. Like normal conversations don't make you top 10 on Netflix. You need something drama, you need intrigue, you need something entertaining, something fun, something stupid, something eye catching. And you can either create that through the challenges or you can manipulate that through the editing. So I very, very much approach reality TV shows with this critical analytical lens that what I'm watching is fabricated and that what I'm watching does not, like what I'm seeing from those people does not represent the whole picture of who those people are, and that there's so much more, or at least I would hope, than just solely talking about wanting a partner with a big ass. That's what I would hope. Um, but obviously, if they showed me conversations in which like the matches get to know each other and they tell each other about their childhoods and like their favorite type of soup, I wouldn't give a shit about knowing this. This is not what's intriguing. This is not what's dramatic. So I very much approach this with my media studies critical analytical lens, but I still love watching reality TV. But at the same time, I would hate to be on reality TV. Now, nowadays, because of the popularity of a lot of reality TV shows, although nowadays with the plethora of reality TV shows and the multitude of seasons per show, it is a bit difficult to stand out as a participant. It's a bit difficult to become a personality, like a famous person, a celebrity, if you so wish to call them, out of this one season of a reality TV show that you did. Because it's just the market can be quite oversaturated, but like there's always a niche for something. And basically, I do think that a lot, I mean, can I be honest? Can I be honest? And like, if there's reality TV participants who are watching this, listening to this, and disagree, do let me know. But I do genuinely believe that because of this increase in popularity of reality TV shows and seeing how um, a lot of reality TV participants streamline into becoming influencers and just make money off of their social media presence, I believe that people who go on dating shows, for example, do not go with the intent to find love. They go with the intent to be exposed to a larger public so that they can build a platform, so that they can make money. I do think that that is the general reason of participation. I think that's the general motive. Maybe there is like a sprinkle of, oh, I actually am interested in meeting the love of my life, but I really don't think that a person would go on a show like, I don't know, Too Hot to Handle, which is branded to them with a different title so that they don't spoil the surprise. Would go on that show, first of all, without knowing that it's too hot to handle, and second of all, with the intent to find love. You very much know that you're being filmed. And I guess maybe if the cameras are hidden, you can forget that you're being filmed, but do you really forget that you're being filmed? Which is why I would hate to be on a reality TV show because, and I know that maybe some of you are thinking, well, how is that necessarily too much different from what you're doing right now? Because you come on here, like, you spill all your thoughts, you spill all your secrets, and you post it online for everyone to see and hear. Well, it's different because here I am in complete power. I am in complete authority to tweak the narrative the way I want it to be constructed, to present myself in the light in which I want to be presented in. I am not left up to the goodwill of an editor because I am the editor. And what you hear and what you see has been selected by me because I just wanted to be contributive to the persona which I want to build. So I would hate to not have control of my own narrative, first and foremost. Second of all, I would hate to participate in a dating show for the whole world to see me be intimate with someone. I would hate that. I am quite emotionally avoidant if you have not noticed. I am not a very like public display of affection type of person. Um and the potential of, for example, my family seeing me make out with someone, and not just my family but everyone, strangers included, and other potential love interests, because like it's very likely that your um partner from the reality TV show is not going to be your partner because you're actually not really getting to know each other in a real life setting, because you live in isolation, and this is just not how humans normally exist, because we don't live in a vacuum. So to see that and to have it held against me, and to approach like a family member knowing that they have seen me flirt and like make out with someone on Netflix sounds like a complete nightmare, because it's like that's not for everyone to see. And like, it's okay if you disagree, it's okay if you don't care. I personally care. But to be honest, as much as I would hate to be perceived on reality TV, I would love to take part in a reality TV show. Um, and the reason I would love is from a completely ethnographic perspective. Basically, I find social experiments fascinating. I find the human brain fascinating, the way we build relationships, the way we build like communities, and the way we operate. I find it fascinating. This is what ethnography is all about, learning about people's ways of life. Um, and I would love to be put in a situation where consensually I'm in isolation with like a bunch of hotties on an island, just drinking cocktails, heavy on the cock. Um, and that's on me being addicted to social media. You better know the reference, because like I don't just randomly shout heavy on the cock. Okay? Okay. Um, I would love to see how I would react in such situations of isolation, because like you basically enter there without it, because I would love to participate if it was not aired, because you enter there without mm, necessarily approaching it with, oh, this is going to have consequences on the outside, because the outside does not exist on the inside. And after those 2 weeks, this inside is not going to exist. And it's like I can be whoever, I can do whatever, I can present myself however. And none of this really matters, because this is not real life. So I would love to see myself participate in such an experiment. And I think the love bombing that happens, and the just clinging on the dependence of, of in the relationship that these people built, is just outrageous. And um I think it's quite normal. This is not me judging those the TV participants. I think it's normal, because this is what's presented to you as your new reality, and these are the set of people that exist in your community, and you need to make a community out of these separate parts. I think it's normal to act like this in isolation. I think it's normal for everything to be heightened, all feelings, like in terms of love, affection, frustration, desperation, betrayal, affection, whatever. I think it's normal for everything to be heightened, because it's an experiment. It's um, every repercussion on your actual day-to-day life is decontextualized. It's not there. It does not exist. What matters is the here and now. And the here and now, has an end date, which is why you just submerge yourself in this experience. And that's why you see people crying about leaving the house, for example, even after they've been there for a day, because a day probably feels like a month because of this isolation. And I think it's just so fascinating how it works. And I don't really think it's necessarily a healthy thing to put people through. But I guess also that's why you have age restrictions, and like you need people to actually consent to being there. Because I can imagine this having a lot of repercussions on your mental health in a way, because once you exit this world and you are like now in a relationship with someone and you enter your real life, and like you live in the US but your partner lives in New Zealand, and you're like, wait, but like we just spent every single day together and we were inseparable, and now I won't see you because like we live on the two opposite sides of the world, and how is that supposed to work out, and how are we supposed to make it? And also, I have friends, I have a family, I have a job that I need to tend to, and I can't spend every single second with you, and we can't just live in this bubble. So, honestly, mind you, I am saying this out loud, copyrighted, copyrighted, I'm patenting it right now. If anyone is watching this and you turn this into a show, you owe me a cut because you heard it here first. I would love to see a reality TV show about the life of reality TV participants, dating reality TV participants who enter relationships after the after the show ends, because this is when they get back into um the real world, their real lives. And this is when you actually start realizing, wait, what I just participate, and I'm not saying it wasn't real, but like it's not compatible with your real life. I'm not trying to discard your feelings. Your feelings are very much real, like you feel them. Who am I to discard the existence of your feelings? But like the structure of your way of life in that house, on that island, is not real. And I would love to see what it means for people to take their experiences outside of their house, outside of the reality TV house. I would love to see the, this makes me sound like a psychopath, but it's just, I would love to see the cognitive dissonance of that people go through after they re-enter their real lives and their real societies and their real social roles and professional roles and familial roles and relationship roles. I think this is when you start seeing whether the experiment of this isolation worked or not. Because this is like you can't just decontextualize people from their lives, put them in isolation in an incubator for 2 weeks, and then just leave them be. You need to take some sort of responsibility and care for those people after they leave, but also recognize that like what they've experienced they bring with themselves and after they leave. And because of this heightened emotional spectrum that they go through throughout those 2 weeks, it can feel, I imagine, as a big emotional crash after. Like it's like you experience a big dip. And I can imagine this having quite a bit of repercussions and a lot of confusion, lead to a lot of conclusion for the participants, because it's like, wait, but up until yesterday we were in love, even though we knew each other for just 10 days, and like I thought we knew each other. And then you walk out and you enter the real world where your actual self exists, and you're like, oh. So I would love to see a reality TV show following the life of reality TV participants after their initial reality TV show ends. Especially if it's a dating show, especially if they end the season, their participation as a couple, and live on two opposite sides of the end of the world. And this makes me, I know this makes me sound like a villain and like a puppeteer because it's making me like dehumanize those people. No, it's just I am interested in seeing their human experiences after they have been deprived of what an actual human experience looks like for 2 weeks. How does that affect you as a human after you re-enter your world? I imagine it can be something like Captain America, like being like 200 years later just kicking it. Like it's fascinating to me. But I guess that's for like future us to discover. Also, I don't think we'll ever get that, because I think the ethicality part of this, the ethics, the moral, the just the do's and don'ts of this are so fine lined and so questionable and ambiguous that it would be highly unethical to request those people to film them after their experience somewhere after being filmed. Because also, if you do it in front of the cameras, is it actually going to be real? And if it, and again, I hit the microphone. I don't know, guys, I really don't know. But the people on the other side of the door are waiting for me, and I think I'll join them. So, with that being said, I showed you the list of the things I wanted to talk about. Guess how many of them I talked about? Yes. With that being said, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, stay hydrated, wear sunscreen, and don't support genocide. Bye.